Mitch McConnell, most of you guys, I'm sure, probably know him. He says, we are in a very, very dangerous world right now because Donald Trump got elected. He's turned on Donald Trump, to my surprise, as it seems. I want to read the article, see what he had to say. He held up his Supreme Court appointment for a full year. Obama was elected and had the right to choose a Supreme Court justice. McConnell refused to accept one. He gave the pick to Donald Trump instead. McConnell protected Trump, voted against his impeachment, which would have prevented him from winning the election, prevented him from running for election in the first place. And McConnell voted against impeachment. McConnell made every bit of this happen. So I think it's rich coming from McConnell to say we're in a dangerous world right now. You created the dangerous world. Mitch McConnell is standing in his office smiling. Hanging on the walls are faces mostly stern from Washington's past. McConnell's portrait might soon join them. Last month, the Republican leader in the U.S. Senate stepped down from the role he has held for longer than anyone in U.S. political history. At the age of 82, McConnell is ready to do something else. McConnell earned power and used it to shift the country to the right during his 17-year tenure. He won races across the country, raised more than $1 billion to boost his colleagues, and negotiated trillion-dollar-plus bills, including the aid that lifted the country out of the pandemic. He became enormously influential and broadly unpopular, making enemies among Democrats for blocking judicial nominations to the Supreme Court, and among Republicans for his occasional sharp criticisms of Trump. With the latter preparing to return to the White House next month, the veteran lawmaker issues a warning from America's past. Quote, "We're in a very, very dangerous world right now, reminiscent of before World War II," he says. Even the slogan is the same, America First. That was what they said in the 30s. It absolutely is. And we'll get there in a second. We'll just read a little more. Warming to his historical theme, McConnell turns to one of the portraits behind him, an influential Senate Republican of the wartime era named Robert A. Taft, son of the 27th President William Howard Taft. Robert was a raging isolationist who opposed Lend-Lease before the Second World War and both the creation of NATO and the Marshall Plan afterwards, says McConnell. Thank goodness Eisenhower beat him for the presidential nomination in '52 and had a much different view of America's role in the world. So what McConnell is talking about here is the America First Party. Think about what's happening with Ukraine right now. Ukraine is in a battle for its very survival, and Russia outmatches it dramatically. Without help from the United States or other European countries, Ukraine would lose. Ukraine would just lose their property entirely. It would become a Russian state. Russia would become more powerful, which nobody wants. Putin has been spreading propaganda to try to get people to stop caring about the war and say, we don't want to be involved anymore. We're isolationists. We're staying out of it completely. If the United States is not involved in the Ukraine war, then Ukraine loses. If the U.S. wasn't involved in World War II, then the war is lost, maybe. So there was a political party called the America First Party back in the 30s and the 40s that was pushing for isolationism. It was saying we need to stay out of the war, don't get involved, that's their problem, not our problem. They were trying to help Hitler. They couldn't help him outwardly, openly, because the U.S. was too oppositional to him. People would be disgusted if they supported Hitler openly. So they had to be coy about it. And they used to hold political rallies. They held one at Madison Square Garden. It was a Nazi rally, in effect. And it's famous for being a Nazi rally. And here's a picture of it. A ton of people. George Washington at the front. And I believe that, there are swastikas in the background there. The America First Party. It was a Nazi political party. And interestingly enough, the America First Party was revived not long ago by Nick Fuentes and is still a Nazi political party to this day. AFPAC is like a conference that happens every year held by the America First political party led by Nick Fuentes. And they've had congressmen show up to speak in favor of the America First Party. These are Nazis. People that show up are Nazis. Self-avowed, most of them. And if you aren't publicly coming out and saying that I am a Nazi, but you're attending gatherings with Nazis and speaking at Nazi events, you're a Nazi. This is Congressman from Arizona, Wendy Rogers. She stood for Trump and the whole 9 yards. You know the type. And Nick Fuentes is the leader of America First and is a self-avowed Nazi.
I truly respect Nick because he's the most persecuted man in America.
Okay.
He's been deplatformed everywhere, debanked, put on no-fly lists.
Well, that's because of his involvement in January 6th, but okay.
And attacked for simply saying things the media and the far left don't like.
That is not why he's being attacked or whatever.
He had to create his own platform just to be able to speak.
He's not being, prevented from speaking. He just has to use his own megaphone instead of somebody else's. Really? I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Okay, let's continue.
Unbelievable. Standing up to the tyranny is our American way. It's
tyranny.
Sets us apart from the losers who have given in to oppression around our world. We need more speech that people don't like.
Wait, why would anybody need more speech that people don't like? I mean, we should be able to say things that people don't like, but why would we need more of that? What are you talking about?
That's the point of the First Amendment.
No, it isn't.
We are in this mess because we've watered down our speech. Did our founding fathers water down their speech? Did Jesus or the apostles water down their speech? No. Capitulation is why we are being overrun by the LGBTQ movement.
Oh my God, dude. So anyway, the America First Party. That's what this is from. AFPAC. Here is Nick Fuentes at an AFPAC event. This is him speaking at his political rally or whatever.
That's what we call the secret ingredient. America and the world has forgotten about them, but
you're talking about incels, I believe.
But not us. You know, they say about America, they say diversity is our strength, you know.
Absolutely. It actually is. Yes. 100%. Albert Einstein was a German Jew who was forced out of Germany in World War II and went on to discover, invent, create, whatever, the theory of relativity. Completely revolutionize our understanding of the world around us, of the universe. And Nazis were not happy about that one. Oh my God. They used to make fun of Albert Einstein, saying that he wanted to cement his legacy, but all he did was cement his legacy as a fool or something stupid. Yeah, diversity is important in the U.S. It's valuable. Absolutely.
Diversity is our strength, you know. And I look at China and I look at Russia. Can we give a round of applause for Russia?
It's wild to me that this is happening at this moment in history because nobody supported Russia. Nobody. It was like they had just gone into Ukraine and everybody was appalled by what was happening. People who had never been in the military were joining to go to Ukraine. And we have Nick Fuentes out here saying this. This is just wild.
Yes.
Literally cheering for Vladimir Putin. That is insane.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, but I take a look around the world. I look at Russia. I look at China. You know, China, they're editing their babies to be smarter.
No, that's illegal there, and it doesn't even work the way that people think it works. He's talking about CRISPR. There's one case of a guy who tried to use CRISPR to edit the genes of a baby, and he went to prison for the rest of his life. And it didn't work, again, because that's not how it works. It should be internationally illegal. It might be. I don't know.
Stronger, faster. Russia, they're invading countries. They took out the whole Ukrainian...
The whole Ukrainian what? The answer is nothing, because they're losers.
But I rest easy at night knowing that America has diversity.
Anyway, that's Nick Fuentes. That's the America First Party. And that's what Mitch McConnell was talking about when he said that. He said, we're in a very, very dangerous world right now, reminiscent of before World War II. Even the slogan is the same, America First. That was what they said in the 30s. I appreciate that he's saying this right now, but I don't like the fact that he voted for Donald Trump in 2024 and 2020 and 2016. He created every part of this. This is Mitch McConnell's fault. Even when McConnell had an opportunity to get Donald Trump out and ban him from ever running for president ever again, he refused. He voted against impeaching him. This is after January 6th.
Well, let me give you my view of what happened January the 6th.
Please.
And we're here. We're here. We saw what happened. It was a violent insurrection for the purpose of trying to prevent the peaceful transfer of power after a legitimately certified election from one administration to the next. That's what it was. With regard to the suggestion that the RNC should be in the business of picking and choosing Republicans who ought to be supported, traditionally the view of the national party committees is that we support all members of our party, regardless of their positions on some issues.
Do you have confidence in her?
Well, I mean, this is beyond just some issues, right? This is literally a coup on the government. The point that I'm making is that Mitch McConnell is responsible for the situation that we find ourselves in. Mitch McConnell is, in effect, the Republican Party leader. It seems like Donald Trump, and he's very powerful. But McConnell is a mainstay. He's been in the system for, God, how many years? 50 years or something? From 1985 to 2025, basically, just to have a nice round number. 40 years. 40 years he's been in office. And that's just in office. That's when he won his election and stayed in that position. That's not counting working as, I assume, a clerk. I don't know. Does he have a law degree? Working as a clerk for somebody else's office and being involved in all kinds of other things. He controls all kinds of things. McConnell had the opportunity to stop what was happening and chose not to.
I do, but the issue is whether or not the RNC should be sort of singling out members of our party who may have different views from the majority. That's not the job of the RNC.
McConnell basically said he voted for Trump in 2024. He didn't like it, and he refused to even look at his ballot afterward. He closed his eyes while scribbling it in, closed the paper, and brought it up. He does not like the fact that he did this, but he did it anyway. I don't give a shit who he voted for, honestly. That is like the least of my worries. My worry is the fact that he could have acted as a whip. It's called the majority. It's called the majority party whip, where it's the guy that goes around and wrangles votes, makes sure that everybody is voting for a bill that the Republicans want them to vote for or whatever. He could have acted as the whip to get Trump impeached, and he specifically, intentionally chose not to do that. My sympathy is down here. And I hope his legacy goes down as one that enabled the destruction of democracy in the United States. I hope he doesn't get away with reforming his legacy, realizing now that Trump is probably going to be one of the most disliked presidents in American history. I hope he's not going to succeed in rehabilitating his image. And tell me what you think about it in the comments.